This is music, and this is a mind-blowing first impressions video. Welcome to another first impressions video. In these videos, I share with you my first impressions of the many blind buys I've picked up lately. I'm going to cheat a little bit in this one, and I'm going to start out with a what's spinning segment. Because the other day, I decided to take public transportation to work rather than bicycle. So I broke out one of my portable cassette players, Walkman, but they're not official Sony Walkman, and listened to some cassette tapes while commuting to work. And I decided to listen to this one here, DAD, or Disneyland After Dark, No Fuel Left for the Pilgrims. This is a Danish band, probably the biggest Danish rock band of all time, I think it's fair to say. At least one of them. And interestingly enough, nowadays, when people, especially from North America, talk about this band, they call them a glam metal band. But I gotta tell you, back in the day when this came out, uh, in their native country, we did not consider it glam metal. Glam metal was a thing. We did not consider this glam metal. This was heavy metal or hard rock or rock, somewhere in between those genres, but not glam metal. So to me, controversial though it may seem, this is an 80s heavy metal album. It's always been that, with hard rock elements. Who cares what we call it, as long as we like the music. And boy, do I like the music on this one. This is a great album. It's full of great songs, which are catchy, which are fun, which are memorable. You have Jesper Binzer's instantly recognizable punky vocals. You have Steve's straightforward driving bass. He only plays on two strings, so he has these weird custom-made two-string basses. You got the straightforward AC/DC style drumming, and then you just have awesome, memorable, catchy guitar riffs that rock hard. Excellent stuff. So many great songs on here. There's the biggest hit ever, probably Sleeping My Day Away. You have Jihad with great main riff. You have Ill Will, which is an all-out heavy metal song. You have some kind of sillier and fun songs like Siamese Twin and Girl Nation, and kind of heavier, but still kind of silly, Rim of Hell. Um, so many great songs on here. And what I really like about this and what makes this very original is that a lot of the guitar melodies, a lot of the guitar hooks are played using a clean twang guitar tone that we know from some styles of country western music and surf rock. And that just works very well. It's very catchy and it's very unique. And I think the reason why Sleeping My Day Away became such a big hit is that the guitar hook is played using that twang guitar tone. Excellent album. I also listened to this one, also by DAD, Risking It All. This is the follow-up album. This is more of a straightforward and straight up hard rock album. Not a glam metal album, in my opinion, but a hard rock album. Not a lot of metal here, but it's still fun, still catchy, still lots of great songs with great riffs. And you also have some of the twang guitar work on here. And I think the twang guitar work on this one is better than the twang guitar work on No Fuel Left for the Pilgrims. Although I like No Fuel Left for the Pilgrims better as an album overall, the twang guitar work on this one is more elaborate and it's more melodic and it's just more interesting, if you know what I mean. Great album, lots of fun songs on here too. You got Bad Craziness, the big hit of this one. They even play the kazoo on this one. There's a kazoo solo. You have D-Law, you have Rock and Rock Raider, which has a fantastic hard rocking guitar riff. You got Making Fun of Money. You have the title track Risking It All. You got a fun song called, and clever too, called Smart Boy Can't Tell Ya, which lyrically deals with people who can never show up on time. And in a very clever fashion, the last accentuation, the very last accentuation in the song, all the instruments are off cue, which I think is super clever. You have some ballads on here. You got an acoustic ballad called Laugh and a Half. You got a very melancholic ballad called Grow or Pay. Laugh and a Half is okay to me, but Grow or Pay, I prefer that one much, much, much more. It's a great ballad. And you have another melancholic song, "Down That Dusty Third World Road." So this is a great hard rock album. These are awesome albums. I enjoy listening to them on cassette tape because the very first copy I had of this one was on a DAW tape. So, and I would, you know, listen to these on my DAW tapes on my Walkman or portable cassette player back in the day when I would bicycle to school. So, lots of nostalgia and great music. And I'm a huge fan of their first five albums. I think they're fantastic. The first one is Call of the Wild, which is a cowpunk album. So it's a combination of punk rock and country western music. And that's where they get the twang guitar stuff from. And a lot of the songs are actually very melancholic and haunting. Uh, and awesome because of that twang guitar, hook approach, if you know what I mean. The second album, uh, Draws a Circle, is more of a hard rock, punk rock, classic rock mix. It's a great album. And then you've got this one here. That's the third album. This is the fourth album. And then the fifth album. Now we're kind of in the mid 90s. It's called Help You're Selfish, and there's no twang guitar on that one. It's a much darker and heavier album, more inspired by 90s alt metal. And to me, it's an alternative metal album. And it's one of the better alternative metal albums. I think it's great, although you don't have the twang guitar. So after that, they took their music in a direction that didn't appeal that much to me. So it's not bad or anything, it's just not my cup of tea. So I lost interest in them. But those first five DAD/Disneyland After Dark albums. They're great. Strongly recommended. Anyways, let's get to the first impressions. Up first, this one here, Donor, that's the band, and it's called Release. It's a Dive Bomb reissue. You got the Dive Bomb hype sticker. It says Cult Dodge Prog Metal for fans of Psychotic Waltz, Memento Mori. I assume it's the Doom metal band, Doom heavy metal band, featuring Messiah Marcolin on vocals, Solitude Aeternus, and Confessor. I do get the Psychotic Waltz part. I don't get the Doom metal references, if I'm being honest, apart from Confessor, perhaps, because they were kind of progressive. Uh, well, yeah, this is progressive metal, not in the sense that you got lots of odd time signatures and stuff going on, more in the sense that it's kind of darkly psychedelic, kind of like Psychotic Waltz. Um, And instead of the doom metal bands, I think I would make references to um, Soundgarden because they were actually kind of progressive back in the day on some of their albums, and maybe even Alice in Chains, although they weren't prog really. But they have that kind of element of 90s alternative metal combined with dark progressive metal. There's lots of interesting stuff going on in the songs, a lot of weird stuff too. The compositions are interesting. You got some weird things going on too. You got the dark, kind of oppressive and disturbing psychedelic feel as well. Songs are well composed. This is a very enjoyable album for sure. The vocals, however, they're kind of annoying. They sound too 90s to me, too much like Eddie Vedder, and I forget their names now, but the vocalists from Soundgarden and Alice in Chains, and that style of singing. There's a little bit too much of that going on. It's a bit annoying, but it's not grating, and this is an enjoyable listen. But I have to say I like this one much better. Also by Donor, Triangle of the Lost. Also, a Dive Bomb reissue. But notice how it says cult Dutch prog thrash on this hype sticker, not prog metal. And they mention completely different bands. They mention Watchtower, Sanctuary, Sieges even, Osiris, and Toxic. And yeah, this is much more along the lines of your Watchtower, your Toxic, your Realm, that sort of even some early Mekong Delta albums. That sort of progressive power thrashy style. I will say that yeah, you got some thrashy stuff for sure. You got some power thrash. You got some more like prog metal, like inspired by Dream Theater and maybe No Exit era Fates Warning, if you know what I mean. The vocals are much more to my liking. It's those soaring high, yeah, Watchtower and Realm style and yeah, Toxic style vocals. So this is a fantastic prog metal, maybe prog power thrash album. All the songs I think are awesome. And by the way, I didn't mention that you got a bunch of bonus tracks on both of these as well. You know, it's dive bomb. They always go above and beyond. But yeah, this is an awesome prog thrash album. I would put it up there with those Realm, Watchtower, Toxic albums, and you know some of the Mekong Delta albums too. Excellent stuff. If you like your prog metal, this is definitely worth checking out. Speaking of prog metal and of Fates Warning, this is a bit of a cheat. Chasing Time by Fates Warning. It's a compilation album. I've heard all the songs before, but never on this album. Never bothered with it, but I decided to pick it up because it was super cheap. And it's actually very interesting because you got John Arch songs and you got Ray Aldo songs and you got like songs from that represent different eras. So quite stylistically quite different, but all progressive. Starts out strong with Monument. That is my favorite Fates Warning song of all time uh, because of the drumming and you know everything basically. But you got lots of great songs on here. Monument, The Apparition, Point of View. That's a more commercial song. Quietus, Guardian, Silent Cries. Just to mention some of them. The 11th Hour. So it's a great compilation album, super interesting, and you know they picked out some awesome songs. I like how it says contains previously released material. Uh, you do have some songs that were unreleased though. At Fate's Fingers, unreleased, and We Only Say Goodbye. You have a remix on. That's a great song actually. It's a softer, more melancholic song. And Circles also unreleased. And then you got like a fun, I'm not going to spoil that, but you got kind of like a fun, I think, studio gaff at the very end. But yeah, this is a good best of album. Very interesting. And it might be a good kind of album to get into Fates Warning on if you're interested in checking them out because it captures a lot of their, from the early era, right? Of course, you don't have material from a lot of the stuff that came out after this one. Um, but it's a good representative of the different eras in their heyday, basically. Yeah, I enjoyed this one. Good stuff. Up next, we have this one here, Accelerate, self-titled, I believe. So this is a Danish band, power thrash, I would say. Um, so all of these, I mean, there's kind of like a mind-bending character to all of these because they're progressive metal, right? In different ways. This one here, there's a little bit maybe of a prog power metal, but not a whole lot. This is more like a power thrash or maybe melodic thrash metal album. Maybe that's a better way to put it. Starts out with a very melodic, almost kind of like dark ballady song called Arrival, which I think is that's cool, that's brave. Uh, but then you have just like, a good mix of melodic thrash metal and, straight up traditional heavy metal and kind of like modern traditional heavy metal too. And then some power thrash in the songs. The vocals are also your soaring high vocals, not unlike Mikael Bastholm when he was in Artillery. I mean, he's not the vocalist on here, but it's just a similar style of singing, and that's great too. They do have some fast, aggressive, thrashy songs. I mean, for example, Children of the Sun, that's a melodic power thrasher, and Lethal Assault. I mean, with that title, fast but melodic. So I actually think this is a fantastic, probably a very obscure, overlooked melodic thrash slash power thrash slash modern traditional heavy metal album. I really enjoyed it. I think it's great. I think if you like your melodic thrash, check these guys out. You might like him. I did. And finally, up last, we have this one here. I don't know if it's Excisis or Excises or whatever, but it's self-titled. It's another dive bomb. It's also Dutch. It says cult Dutch heavy metal for fans of Fifth Angel, Icon, Gargoyle, and Shock Paris. And this one does not have bonus stuff on it. Um, but the stuff it has on it, it's freaking fantastic. It's heavy metal. It's great, good riffs. Really like the vocals. Um, it's very 80s metal sounding for sure. But the songs are catchy, and this is a band that should have definitely made it bigger. One thing I really like is that some of the songs have almost like a prog rock feel to them, in that you have some synth solos, and I actually kind of like that. But yeah, this is just a good, tasty heavy metal album. If you like heavy metal, check this out. I mean, this does not deserve to be as obscure as I think it is. Check it out. Anyways, there you go. Kind of a mind-bending first impressions video this time because first of all, I cheated and talked about some more like what's spinning stuff, and there's even an element of the tapeworm series as well because they're cassette tapes, and then of course you had uh, some prog metal stuff that's always mind bending. So yeah, there you go. All of this is good stuff. I would say check it out. For now, thanks for watching.